The silence in the restaurant was broken by a loud, arrogant laugh, the kind that makes all the other customers turn their heads. Marcus Hale, the real estate billionaire who appeared on magazine covers every month, was standing next to the table where Sofia Martinez was serving coffee. He pointed at her with a cruel smile as he spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. $100,000. Cash. If you can run 10 kilometers without stopping. Sofia froze with the coffee pot still in her hand. His brown eyes blinked slowly, processing what he had just heard. Marcus continued, his voice dripping with venom disguised as amusement. You look well-fed. I bet you can't even run to the parking lot without needing oxygen. The three men in suits sitting with him burst into laughter. One of them hit the table. Sofia felt the heat rise to her neck, but it wasn't shame. It was anger. Cold, controlled anger, the kind that doesn't explode, that accumulates and waits for the right moment. She was 32 years old and had worked at that restaurant for 4 years. The Golden Plate was one of the most expensive places in Portland, frequented by people who paid $50 for a steak and left $3 tips. Sofia knew this type of client, men like Marcus Hale, who thought money bought the right to humiliate whoever they wanted. But Sofia Martinez wasn't who they thought. She placed the coffee pot on the table with calculated care and looked straight into Marcus's eyes. It didn't deviate. He didn't lower his head. 10 kilometers? She repeated, voice as firm as steel. That's it. 10 kilometers. Non-stop, without fainting. Marcus crossed his arms, the smile still glued to his face. But let's be honest, honey. You won't make it. People like you aren't cut out for this. The entire restaurant was silent now. Customers held their forks in the air. The manager, Linda, watched from the kitchen, mouth slightly open. Sofia knew everyone was waiting for her to put her head down, accept the humiliation and go back to work as if nothing had happened. But there was something no one there knew about Sofia Martinez. 3 years ago she had been different, very different. Before Portland, before the Golden Plate, before everything fell apart, Sofia had a routine that started at 4:30 in the morning. Lace-up sneakers, headphones, empty streets. She ran because she had to, because it was the only thing that kept her sane after she lost her job as a personal trainer at an elite gym, fired not because of incompetence, but because she didn't have the visual profile the company wanted. She gained weight after that. Depression, anxiety, late bills. But he never completely stopped running. Never. And Marcus Hale had no idea about it. Sofia took a deep breath. His fingers still held the coffee pot tightly. She could feel the eyes of everyone in the room on her. The pressure, the expectation, the trial. Okay, she said, still looking at Marcus. But when I run your 10 kilometers, you're going to pay me in front of everyone. Here, in this restaurant. Marcus laughed even louder, throwing his head back. Of course. If you can do it, I'll pay. With pleasure. He leaned forward, resting his hands on the table. But when you give up at the second mile, because you will give up, you'll serve me for free for a whole month. Deal? Sofia reached out her hand without hesitation. Deal. Marcus squeezed her hand with exaggerated strength, as if he were sealing his own victory. He was already imagining the social media posts, the viral video, the public humiliation of the fat waitress who had the courage to accept a billionaire's bet. One of the men at the table took out his cell phone and started recording. This is going to be epic, he muttered, laughing. Sofia let go of Marcus's hand and took a step back. His expression was calm, but something in his eyes changed. A spark, a silent promise. When do you want to do this? She asked. Saturday, at 6 in the morning, at Riverside Park. I'll be there with my friends to witness it. Marcus crossed his arms again, confident. And you can bring whoever you want too. The more people who see you fail, the better. Sofia nodded slowly. Saturday at 6, I'll be there. She turned on her heel and walked back to the kitchen, ignoring the whispers that began to erupt throughout the restaurant. Linda followed, eyes wide. Sofia, have you gone crazy? 10 kilometers? Do you know who this guy is? He's going to destroy you on social media if you don't. Sofia took her apron and tied it around her waist with mechanical movements. I know who he is, she replied, her voice low. And he has no idea who I am. Linda frowned. What do you mean by that? Sofia didn't respond. He just took his cell phone out of his pocket and opened a folder of old photos. Photos she hadn't looked at in months. Photos of a younger Sofia Agra, with medals hanging around their necks. Photos of podiums. Photos from marathon races. She closed her cell phone and returned to the salon. That night, after the restaurant closed, Sofia went home and opened the closet in her room. Deep inside, dusty and forgotten, was his old pair of running shoes. She took them carefully, as if holding a sacred relic, and then she smiled. Why 10 kilometers? 10 kilometers were just the beginning. If you're enjoying this story of turnaround and justice, Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any details of what's coming. The next morning, Sophia woke up at 4:15. He didn't need an alarm clock. His body still remembered the routine, even after so long. She got up, went to the kitchen, and made strong black coffee. As he drank, he looked out the window of his small apartment and saw the streets of Portland still dark and empty. He put on his old sneakers. He tied his shoelaces with precision. It went out. The cold, early morning air cut into her lungs on the first block, but she didn't slow down. His steps were heavy at first, his legs protesting years of neglect. But after 15 minutes, something changed. His body remembered. Breathing found a rhythm. The muscles woke up. She ran 3 miles that morning, slowly, controlled, no rush. But when he returned home, something was different. His cell phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Sophia unlocked the screen and felt her stomach sink. The video already had more than 50,000 views. One of Marcus Hale's friends had posted a recording of the bet at the restaurant with the caption, "Billionaire bets $100K that fat waitress can't run 10 kilometers. This is going to be hilarious." The comments were an avalanche of cruelty. "She can barely walk to the table, let alone run. Poor thing, she's going to have a heart attack in the first kilometer. Someone tell her that fast food is not cardio?" Sophia read 3 comments before closing the app. Not angry, not with sadness, with focus, because it wasn't about them. It was about Marcus Hale, and Marcus Hale was loving every second of it. That same morning, he posted a photo on Instagram next to a stack of $100 bills. The caption read, "This money will stay here with me. Easiest bet of my life. Reality, or no chances." The post had more than 200,000 likes in 2 hours. Sophia saw everything, and he didn't respond, didn't comment. It didn't give satisfaction, just went back to work. At the Golden Plate, things got strange. Customers looked at her with a mixture of pity and curiosity. Some took discreet photos. Others made low jokes when they thought she wasn't listening. But the worst was when a group of women sitting at table 6 called Sophia. "You're that waitress in the video, right?" one of them asked, smiling as if she was doing him a favor. "I am," Sophia replied, holding the tray firmly. "Look, honey, I know you're trying to prove something, but do you really think you can do it?" The woman tilted her head, feigning concern. "It's not a bad thing, but you need to be realistic. 10 kilometers is a lot. Maybe it's best to cancel before you embarrass yourself in front of everyone." Sophia looked at her for a long second. "Thank you for your concern," she said, her voice calm. "But I'll be there Saturday," and turned his back. Linda pulled her into the kitchen soon after. "Sophia, this is getting out of control. The video already has 500,000 views. People are betting online on whether you'll make it or not. Are you sure about that?" Sophia washed her hands in the sink, looking at the water running down her fingers. "I have. But what if you don't make it? Marcus will humiliate you even more, and you'll have to work for free for a month. You need that money, Sophia." Sophia dried her hands and looked Linda in the eyes. "I'll make it." Linda sighed, frustrated. "How can you be so sure?" Sophia didn't respond. He just went back to the hall. That night after her shift, Sophia came home and took an old box from under her bed. Inside were medals, dozens of them. Marathons, half-marathons, road races, all from before, from when she was someone else. She picked up one of the medals and read the inscription. "Portland Marathon 2019, 3:42. Your best time. 42 kilometers in less than 4 hours. 10 kilometers? 10 kilometers were nothing. But Sophia knew it wasn't just about the race. It was about what Marcus stood for. It was about all the times someone looked at her and decided they knew who she was just by her body. It was about all the silent humiliations, all the judgments, all the closed doors. And Marcus Hale had made a fatal mistake. He had underestimated Sophia Martinez. In the following days, Sophia continued training. 5 kilometers, then 7, then 10. Your body hurt, but only the mind was sharp. She timed each run, adjusted the pace, calculated her breathing, and then, on Thursday, 2 days before the bet, she did something no one expected. She ran 15 kilometers, non-stop, without slowing down. When she finished, she was sweaty, tired, but smiling, because she knew. I knew Marcus had no idea what was coming. On Friday night, Marcus posted another video. He was at a bar with friends, drinking expensive champagne. "Guys, tomorrow is the big day. I'm going to be at Riverside Park at 6 in the morning to see the waitress try, and fail miserably, to run 10 kilometers. It's going to be epic. If you want to go, show up there. There's going to be a free show." The video went viral, more than 1 million views. And suddenly, the bet was no longer just between Sophia and Marcus. It was a public event. Hundreds of people confirmed their presence. Local news channels announced they would cover it. Memes started circulating. Hashtags exploded. Aposta 100K, Waitress vs Millionaire, Desafio Portland. Sophia saw it all happen and felt the weight, but he didn't waver. On Friday night, she prepared everything. clean sneakers, water bottle, headphones, comfortable clothing. And then she did something she hadn't done in a long time. She called someone. Hello? The voice on the other end was tired but familiar. Hi, Daddy, Sophia said, her voice shaking a little. I need to tell you something. She told everything. The humiliation, the bet, the video, the laughs, and finally, the plan. There was a long silence on the other end of the line, and then her father said something she would never forget. Sophia, you were always stronger than any of them imagined. Go out there and show who you really are. She hung up the phone with tears in her eyes, and slept, because tomorrow, the whole world was going to find out who Sophia Martinez was, and Marcus Hale was going to learn a lesson he would never forget. Saturday, 5:40 in the morning. Sophia woke up before the alarm. He couldn't sleep well, not because of nervousness, but because of adrenaline. She got up, went to the kitchen, and ate 2 bananas with peanut butter. Simple carbohydrates, fast energy, marathon protocol. She put on the clothes she had laid out, black leggings, gray breathable t-shirt, running shoes that she cleaned the night before. She tied her hair into a tight bun. He looked in the mirror. The woman reflected was not the humiliated waitress from the Golden Plate. She was the runner who once crossed the finish line of a full marathon in less than 4 hours. She picked up her cell phone and saw the notifications exploding. Messages from people she didn't even know. Memes about her. Online bets on how long it would take her to give up. And then he saw something that made his stomach turn. Marcus Hale had posted a photo of himself holding a stopwatch with the caption, I bet she doesn't even make it to 3 kilometers. Anyone else want to join this? Desafio impossível. More than 2,000 comments. Most betting against it. Sophia took a deep breath and turned off her cell phone. He left the house at 5:50. When she arrived at Riverside Park, she almost couldn't believe what she saw. There were hundreds of people. It wasn't an exaggeration. Literally, hundreds. Some holding signs, others with cameras. News channel vans parked at the entrance. Drones flying over the area. Street vendors selling coffee and donuts. It felt like a festival, and everyone was there for one reason, to see Sophia Martinez fail. She walked through the crowd in silence, ignoring the stares, the whispers, the snickers. Some people shouted things. You'll make it. Give up while you can. Look at her size. This is going to be quick. Sophia kept her eyes straight ahead, and then he saw Marcus. He was at the center of it all, surrounded by friends, all dressed as if they were going to a golf club. Marcus wore expensive sunglasses and held a cup of Starbucks coffee. When he saw Sophia, his smile widened. She came, he shouted, opening his arms theatrically. Guys, she really came. The crowd erupted into mixed cheers and applause. Marcus walked up to Sophia, still smiling. I thought you were going to give up, he said, lowering his glasses to look her in the eyes. But since you're here, let's make the rules clear. 10 kilometers non-stop. If you stop even for a second, you lose. Deal? Sophia looked at him without blinking. Deal. Marcus laughed and turned to the crowd. Let's make this official. Can anyone here time it? A man with a GoPro camera approached. I'm going to record everything and time it. I already have the route mapped out in the app. 10 kilometers exactly. Marcus clapped his hands. Perfect. So let's go. Sophia, are you ready? Sophia stepped forward and began to stretch. He didn't look at anyone. He just focused on his own body. He stretched his legs. He rolled his ankles. He took 3 deep breaths. And then something happened. A tall man with a gray beard, putting on a simple coat, he approached Sophia. He had kind eyes and a tired smile. Sophia Martinez? He asked softly. She looked at him, confused. Yes, my name is David Reyes. I was a track coach at the University of Oregon. I retired 2 years ago, but I still follow the sport. He hesitated for a second. I saw your time at the 2019 Portland Marathon, 3 hours and 42 minutes. You were one of the best amateur runners that year. Sophia blinked in surprise. Do you remember me? I do remember, and when I saw this whole circus on the internet, I knew something was wrong. Nobody ran a marathon in that time without being a real athlete. He took a step closer and lowered his voice. You don't need to prove anything to these people, Sophia, but if you're going to run, do it your way, at your pace, and don't let anyone distract you. Sophia felt a lump in her throat. Thank you, she whispered. David smiled and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Marcus saw the interaction and frowned suspiciously, but he didn't say anything. All right, enough drama, he shouted. Let's get started. Sophia, are you sure about this? Sophia positioned herself at the improvised starting line, a strip of white chalk on the ground. Sure, she replied. Marcus raised his arm. 3, 2, 1, go! Sophia started running, and the crowd exploded. In the first few minutes, everything was chaotic. People screaming, drones buzzing above her, cameras following every step. Sophia blocked everything. He put on his headphones and turned on the playlist he used to use in the past. Heavy electronic music, strong beats, constant rhythm. She ran slowly at first, controlled, breathing through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. His feet found the rhythm automatically. 2 kilometers away, she heard someone shout, "She's still going strong. I can't believe it." Marcus was in his car, following Sophia around the route, filming everything. "Let's see how long she can last," he said to the camera, smiling. At 3 kilometers, Sophia accelerated a little. His body was warm now. The legs were light. Breathing was perfect. At 5 kilometers, halfway, the crowd began to get restless. Less laughter, more silence. Marcus stopped smiling. She's doing fine," one of his friends murmured, surprised. "She'll get tired," Marcus replied, but his voice was less confident. At 7 kilometers, something changed. Sophia wasn't just running, she was flying. His steps were light, quick, precise. She passed other runners who were just along. He passed cyclists. He passed slow cars. And people started to notice. "She's fast. Look at her speed. This isn't normal." Marcus got out of the car and started running next to Sophia, panting. You can't be. This is impossible." Sophia glanced at him but didn't respond. It just continued. At 8 kilometers, Marcus gave up on following her. He was sweaty, tired, embarrassed, and Sophia continued. At 9 kilometers, the entire crowd was silent. Nobody laughed. Nobody mocked. Everyone watched, mouths open, as Sofia Martinez ran as if she were born to do it. And then, at 9.5 kilometers, Sophia did something no one expected. She sped up even more. People started screaming, not mockingly, of admiration. "Go, Sophia. You can do it. She is amazing." And when Sophia crossed the 10-kilometer mark, the stopwatch showed 43 minutes and 20 seconds, less than 45 minutes. A professional time, but Sophia didn't stop. She kept running. The crowd was confused. Why didn't she stop? She already won. Marcus ran up to the man with the camera. "Tell her to stop. She's already run 10 kilometers. The man just shook his head, impressed. "She's not listening to anyone." And Sophia continued. 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 25. People began to follow her in cars, on bicycles, running after her. Drones capture everything from above. News cameras broadcast live. And Marcus Hale stood alone in the middle of the park, watching as Sophia Martinez ran further than anyone had ever imagined. At 30 kilometers, Sophia finally stopped, panting, sweaty, but smiling. The crowd erupted into deafening applause, and Marcus Hale realized too late that he had made the biggest mistake of his life. Sophia stopped at the 30-kilometer mark, her hands on her knees, her chest rising and falling in a controlled rhythm. Sweat ran down his face, but his eyes shone with something no one there expected to see: absolute satisfaction. The crowd was in silent shock. Nobody knew how to react. Some people applauded timidly, others just stared, mouths open, trying to process what they had just witnessed. Marcus Hale was pale. He remained standing in the middle of the park, surrounded by cameras and microphones, while Sophia approached, walking slowly, still catching her breath. Her every step echoed like a sentence. When she got within 10 feet of him, she stopped. 30 kilometers, she said, her voice firm and clear. "You asked for 10. I ran 30. Marcus opened his mouth, but no words came out. His friends, who had previously been laughing and filming everything, were now silent, looking at the ground. Sophia took another step forward. "You called me fat. You said I couldn't even get to the parking lot. You bet me $100,000 that I couldn't run 6 miles. She tilted her head slightly. "So tell me, Marcus, who is the realistic person here?" The crowd erupted in screams and applause. Marcus tried to regain his composure. He forced a weak smile and threw up his hands, like he was being a good loser. All right, you win. Congratulations, I'll pay the 100,000. "No," Sophia interrupted him. Silence returned like a blade. Marcus blinked, confused. "What?" Sophia crossed her arms. "I don't want your money," the crowd whispered, perplexed. Even the journalists seemed shocked. Marcus frowned suspiciously. "So, what do you want?" Sophia smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who had held his cards right all along. "I want you to make a donation, $100,000, to the nonprofit Runners of Tomorrow, which provides free athletic training to young people from underserved communities in Portland." She paused. "And I want you to do it now, in front of everyone, with cameras on." Marcus blushed. "You can't make me." "I can," Sophia replied, pulling her cell phone out of her pocket, "because we made a bet, and there are hundreds of witnesses here, millions watching online. Do you think you can backtrack now without completely destroying your reputation?" Marcus's eyes widened. He looked around, seeing the cameras pointed at him, the drones above, the people filming with cell phones. "I was cornered. Did you plan this?" He muttered in disbelief. "No," Sophia replied calmly. "You planned this. You created the circus. You made my body a public spectacle. I just ran. and now you're going to pay. Not for me, for those who really need it. One of the journalists shouted from the crowd, Marcus Hale, will you honor the bet? Another shouted, will the donation be made today? Marcus looked at Sophia with pure hatred in his eyes, but he knew he had no choice. If he refused, his public image would be destroyed, and he was a billionaire precisely because his image mattered. Okay, he said through gritted teeth, I'll make the donation. The crowd applauded, but Sophia wasn't finished yet. Good, but there's one more thing. Marcus froze. What? Sophia took another step forward, now less than a meter away from him. She lowered her voice, but the microphones picked up every word. You will apologize. To me, publicly, not because I need your apology, but because every fat person you've ever humiliated, every person you've underestimated because of their appearance, deserves to hear you admit you were wrong. Marcus's face twitched. He clenched his fists. His jaw clenched. His friends didn't dare intervene. The crowd was dead silent. And then finally Marcus Hale broke. I'm sorry, he said, his voice hoarse. Louder, Sophia ordered. I'm very sorry, he shouted, voice cracking. I was wrong. You're amazing. I underestimated you. I was arrogant. I apologize. Sophia stared at him for another second, and then he nodded, accepted, and he turned around, starting to walk back to where he had left his things. But before he could take 3 steps, someone shouted from the crowd, Sophia, 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 and then everyone started screaming. A deafening chorus, clapping, whistling, tears. People who had come to see her fail now celebrated her as a hero. David Reyes, the retired coach, approached her with a huge smile. You were impeccable, he said. Perfect rhythm, total control. You still have it, Sophia. You always have. Sophia felt the tears coming, but she couldn't hold them back. Thank you, she whispered. David placed his hand on her shoulder. I still coach some private runners. If you want to get back into the sport, look for me. You have the potential for much more than 20 miles. Sophia smiled, wiping her eyes. I'll think about it. As she walked through the crowd, people approached her, touched her arm, asked for photos, congratulated her. Sophia accepted everything with humility, still processing what had just happened. And then she saw someone who made her heart stop. Your father. He was standing near a tree, wearing the old sweater she remembered from childhood. He had tears streaming down his face, but he was smiling. Sophia ran to him and hugged him tightly. You came, she whispered. I wouldn't miss it for the world, he replied, his voice choked. You were amazing, my daughter. I always knew you were. They stayed like that for a long minute as chaos continued around them, and when Sophia finally walked away, she looked back one last time and saw Marcus Hale. He was alone now. His friends were gone. The cameras were still on him, but now with a different tone, not out of admiration, of scrutiny, of shame. He took out his cell phone and started making a bank transfer to the NGO, filming the screen with his hands shaking. And Sophia realized something important at that moment. Marcus didn't lose because he was publicly humiliated. He lost because he underestimated someone he should never have underestimated, and that lesson cost $100,000. Sophia picked up her things and walked out of the park, alongside her father. The crowd was still chanting his name. Journalists ran after her for interviews, but she didn't stop. He just kept walking, head high, smile on his face, because she didn't need to prove anything else. She had already won. 3 days later, Sophia Martinez woke up to her cell phone exploding with notifications, but this time they were different. Supportive messages, interview requests from national magazines, invitations to motivational talks, and the most surprising, a direct message from the director of the NGO Corredores do Agente. Sophia, Marcus Hale's donation has been confirmed, $100,000. But there's more. Since your story went viral, we've received other donations totaling $340,000. You've changed everything for us. We'd like to offer you a position as an official ambassador for the NGO. Can we talk? Sophia read the message 3 times before believing it. Tears streamed down her face as she typed her response. I accept. When do we start? At Golden Plate, things also changed drastically. Linda, the manager, called Sophia into the office for a private chat. Sophia, I need to tell you something. Linda took a deep breath. The restaurant is getting flooded with reservations. Everyone wants to meet you. The owner called personally and asked to offer you night shift management, pay raise, full benefits, and she wants you to be the face of the restaurant's new campaign. Sophia blinked in surprise. Campaign? Linda smiled. Golden Plate, where everyone is welcome. Pictures of you, story of you. The owner said you represent exactly the values the restaurant should have always upheld. Sophia was silent for a moment, and then he smiled. I accept, but on one condition. Which? No employee will be judged on their appearance, ever, and any customer who is disrespectful to anyone on staff will be asked to leave immediately. Linda extended her hand. Deal. Meanwhile, Marcus Hale was having a very different week. The video of the bet had surpassed 10 million views, but it wasn't the kind of virality he wanted. The comments were brutal. This guy is pathetic. Imagine underestimating someone like that and being publicly humiliated. He really thought he was going to win. What an idiot. His business partners began to pull away. Meetings were canceled. Investors withdrew support. And his company's board called an emergency meeting to discuss his damaged public image. Marcus tried to do damage control. He posted a video apologizing again, this time more elaborate, with forced tears and promises to learn from his mistake. Nobody believed it. The comments were even worse. He's only sorry because he lost. Fake excuse. He'd do it again if he could. Arrogance has a price. 2 weeks later, Marcus was removed as CEO of his own company. The decision was unanimous. The official statement said he was stepping aside for personal reflection, but everyone knew the truth. He had been fired. Meanwhile, Sophia was flourishing. She accepted David Rea's invitation and returned to training seriously. 3 times a week, early morning, iron discipline. David saw in her what few had seen, a genuine athlete hidden beneath years of unfair judgment. "You have the potential to compete at the national level," David said, after a particularly intense workout. "I'm not exaggerating. If you want, I can prepare you for the Boston Marathon next year." Sophia looked at him, her eyes shining. "Boston?" "Boston," David confirmed, smiling. "One of the most prestigious marathons in the world. And I know you can do it." Sophia didn't hesitate. "Let's do this." 6 months later, Sophia was at the start line of the Boston Marathon. By your side, thousands of runners. But she wasn't nervous. I was focused, calm, ready. Her father was in the stands holding a makeshift banner. "Go, Sophia! You are amazing." When the starting gun sounded, Sophia ran. And this time, the entire world was watching, not to mock, but to cheer. She finished the marathon in 3 hours and 37 minutes. Nuts. Your personal best time. A record that placed her among the best amateur runners in the United States. When she crossed the finish line, exhausted but radiant, she raised her arms and screamed. The crowd burst into applause. And somewhere in Portland, Marcus Hale watched the video of her victory in silence, alone in the empty apartment that was now all he had left. He did not comment. He didn't react. He just turned off his cell phone, because he finally understood. Sophia Martinez never needed his approval. He never needed anyone's validation. She was always amazing. He was just too arrogant to notice. And it cost everything. Epilogue. A year later, Sophia was sitting on a lit stage, microphone in hand, speaking to an audience of more than 1,000 people at a motivational conference. "I'm not going to lie to you," she said, her voice firm and clear. "Being judged for my body was one of the most painful things in my life. But do you know what I learned?" She paused, looking at the crowd. "That someone's opinion of me has never defined who I am. What defines me is what I do when no one believes in me. It's the strength I find when the world underestimates me. It's the ability to get up, lace up my shoes and run, not because I need to prove something to anyone, but because I choose to prove it to myself." The audience was silent, and then a round of applause echoed through the auditorium. Sophia smiled, because she had won, not just Marcus Hale, but all the Marcus Hales in the world, and she knew she would never be underestimated again. The moral of the story: arrogance always underestimates silent strength. Prejudice always loses to dignity. And the best revenge is never anger. It's absolute success built on discipline, intelligence, and the courage to prove that you were always greater than any unfair judgment. Sophia Martinez didn't need to scream to be heard. She just ran, and the whole world stopped to watch. If this story inspired you in any way, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because stories of overcoming like this deserve to be shared. And who knows, the next story could be yours.